I am grateful for the opportunity to speak today. The principle I would like to focus on is trusting God in times of uncertainty, using the example of Nephi from the Book of Mormon. One of the verses that stood out to me most during my studying is found in 1 Nephi chapter 3, verse 7. Nephi says, I will go and do the things which the Lord hath commanded me, for I know that the Lord giveth no commandments unto the children of men, save he shall prepare a way for them, that they may accomplish the thing which he had commanded them. The verse is familiar, but studying it more closely helped me see it differently. Nephi did not say he knew how things will work out. He said he knew the Lord will prepare a way. Nephi's life was full of uncertainty. He was asked to leave his home, travel into the wilderness, return to Jerusalem to obtain the plates, and eventually cross the ocean to a land he had never seen. In each of these situations, Nephi did not have clear answers or guarantees. What he had was trust in God. That trust did not come from a perfect understanding, but from faith and willingness to act. What stood out to me is the contrast between Nephi and those around him. Laman and Lemuel often waited for proof before acting, and when things became difficult, they doubted. Nephi acted first, trusted God, and understanding came later. That pattern taught me that faith often requires movement before clarity. A prophetic quote that reinforces this principle comes from President Thomas S. Monson, who said, when we face the temptations of life, the Lord knows our weaknesses. He knows our strengths. He knows how to help us if we will but turn to Him. I appreciate this statement because it reminds us that God's help is not dependent on our perfection. It is dependent on our willingness to turn to Him, especially when life feels uncertain or overwhelming. During the Digging Deeper video featuring Elder Richards and President Gordon B. Hinckley, they spoke about Isaiah's prophecy regarding the mountain of the Lord's house being established in the latter days. Elder Richard explains how the temple was literally become a place where people from all nations come to learn of God, of God's ways, and walk in His paths. President Hinckley testified that the church has a responsibility to stand as an ensign to the nations and a light to the world. What connected this to Nephi for me is that Nephi trusted God not just for his personal benefit, but because he believed in God's larger plan. Nephi understood that obedience and faith had long term consequences beyond his own life. In the same way, trusting God today is not only about getting through current challenges, but about becoming part of something larger than ourselves. As I studied these chapters, I reflected on times in my own life when the future felt unclear. I noticed that my instinct is often to wait until I feel confident or in control before moving forward. Nephi's example challenged that mindset. He trusted God enough to move forward even when the situation was uncomfortable and uncertain. That helped me realize that real spiritual confidence does not come from knowing all the answers. It comes from trusting the one who does. Trusting God does not mean life becomes easy or predictable. Nephi still faced opposition, fear, and hardship, but because he trusted God, he was guided, strengthened, and ultimately led to the blessing he could not have anticipated at the beginning of the journey. Another thing I learned is that trusting God is not passive, but Nephi did not wait for solutions to appear. He prayed, acted, failed at times, and tried again. That pattern reassured me that faith includes effort, persistence, and humility. In a world that values certainty, control, and self-reliance, Nephi's example teaches us a different approach. It teaches that trusting God sometimes means stepping forward without full visibility, believing that the Lord will prepare the way as we move. I believe that the Book of Mormon was written for our day because we live in uncertain times. Many people feel anxious about the future, decisions, relationships, and direction in life. Nephi's story reminds us that God is consistent even when circumstances are not. I want to bring my testimony that God knows us individually. He knows our uncertainties, fears, and limitations, as President Monson taught. He knows how to help us if we will turn to Him. I have felt that guidance in my own life, and I chose to trust Him rather than wait for perfect clarity. I am grateful for Nephi's example, for the Book of Mormon, which continually points to Jesus Christ. I testify that as we trust in God in times of uncertainty and act in faith, He will guide us, strengthen us, and prepare a way for us to accomplish what He asks. I share this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.